all about the Archers. I'm Philippa.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are here to talk to you all about what's been going on in the Archers so far this week. We'll be particularly covering the episodes of Sunday the 18th, Monday the 19th and Tuesday the 20th of August. You have been warned, there will be spoilers. Lauren, what did you think of the week so far? What did you think of tonight's episode?
Before we launch into any of that, we've got to... this is the first time I've been on the podcast since I had that wonderful, successful prediction. So can we first acknowledge my wonderful prediction?
I'm doing silent applause. It was... How did you do that?
I don't know. I just had a feeling. That George was about to crack. But nothing had... I don't know. And he did crack. And that's what... This is everything that's happened since has been dealing off the back of that crack, hasn't it? So how do you think his cracking is going?
Oh, it's this web of lies. I'm getting so cross with Will and Emma. Why are they doing all this elaborate story to cover George? He's 19 years old. He's got enough money. He's fine. It's like he's 5 years old and has run off to join the circus. I'm very unhappy with them. Their business, when people find out what they've done, they are going to lose their business. They're going to lose everything. Bridge Farm, Natasha's talons are going to be sharper than a what's-it.
Well, they kept... I think Emma said tonight, didn't she? She said everyone's going to hate him. And I thought, everyone's going to hate you all, the Grundys. Yeah. Like, this isn't going to just end with George. This is going to be a massive fight back. There were moments where I was like, Will is being so sensible. I can't believe how sensible Will's being. And then counteracting it with these stupid lies at the end. I just thought, this is just madness. Who do you think George was on the phone to when he called that person?
Well,
because I don't know the history of like who are the surrounding people.
Yes, there's been questions being asked on all social media. So the views are, it could be Meg who bought Bartleby. I saw a horse box today and I was looking to see if George was hidden inside. It could be Clive Horrobin because he's got dodgy contacts.
That's
Susan's brother.
Oh, Susan's brother, sorry.
Yeah. And Tracy's. It could be Martin Gibson because George was really getting on with Martin and looking up cars from online when he was supposed to be working at the pig place. Somebody said it could be Harrison. Somebody said it won't be Harrison. Somebody said Justin. Somebody said Alf. Somebody said, why don't they just go to Usha, who's a solicitor, and actually get some legal advice?
Yeah.
You know, who'd have thought? Someone said Fallon. Someone said Rory. I said Terry Two Phones. And somebody very cleverly said, which phone would they call him on?
Which phone?
I like that a lot.
It's just, he said it's George Grundy. So it's not somebody he's on like first name.
He said it's
term.
George Grundy. Yeah, so it's somebody. You're
so
right. Who do you think?
Well, I don't know the history. I had heard rumour of this Clive, who's a bit of a dodgy, what the word I'm thinking of? Dodgy character. Oh God, we're both tired.
We're very tired.
And that was my first sort of go-to, that was potentially who it was. But yeah, would you introduce yourself as George Grundy to your, I don't know, it was his great uncle, I suppose, maybe, if it's a bit distant. But yeah, I don't know. I was I'd written down on my predictions that he was going to do a runner, and then he did the runner before I got a chance to predict that he would do the runner. But
and to be honest, I don't blame him. The way Will and Emma were going on, it's so obvious he's going to do a runner. And check the bathroom. Emma ran up those stairs so quickly when Will shouted for her. Oh my goodness, was she having the energy drinks that George normally does? Yes, my goodness. And Will, all this, I don't know about you, but Will's made a few references to George's, son. And there's a bit, it reminded me of in Hamilton, the musical, where he says, if you call me son one more time.
Son,
and I thought,
time.
Exactly. I was like, crossover.
It's building very well. That was one of my faves, was that it's building, although it's very frustrating, like, because we've still got so many more elements to feed into this, like, how is Fallon going to feel about this? How is Harrison going to feel? Like, there's so much, like, Alistair and Denise, and George seems to be across quite a lot at the moment. He's doing the filming at the... he's doing the filming, so he's really involved with a lot of people, and I really feel like this is going to sort of all come home to roost. And even tonight, hearing Natasha and Pat having to make so many different plans to accommodate for George not being there, it just shows what a big part of the village he is. Like, I just see him as this annoying, awful person, but he's got his finger in lots and lots of pies, and it's really gonna...
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I drew up a list of who will be affected by the truth.
Great idea.
And it's a long and extensive one. The only people I thought wouldn't be affected were the Archers, sort of David, Ruth, Pip, Stella.
Yeah.
The Pargeters, Lizzie, Freddie, Lily, and the Snells, Linda and Robert,
yes,
I think
guess,
might not be. But everybody else in Ambridge will be directly impacted.
Yeah.
I mean, Oliver and, the Bridge Farm and Tracy and Jazza and even Harry when he finds out, Chris, Martha, Joy. I mean, I don't know about you, though, that tonight... Emma was calling Will, but before she did, there was like this silence, and I thought, oh my goodness, if I lost signal, there was just this, I don't know. I was panicking then before Will answered. I was like,
also,
Will, answer your phone quicker.
In what world would Emma not have told Ed? Honestly,
he's going to divorce her.
George is 19. Like, he's just, it's much more complicated than him being Emma and Will's son. Ed has brought him up as well. Like, so it seems bizarre to me that they would leave him out of this. And I think you're right. I think there's going to be real ramifications of keeping this information from him. Like, I think that's going to be another issue that's going to come out of this.
And the longer they leave it, the more liable they become in the court. I mean, Alice's regression therapy, do you think she's going to have another one? Do you think that's going to work?
It's just this sort of evidence hold up in court is what I'm thinking. Because why isn't every person who's been involved in some sort of criminal activity down the old regression therapist trying to find out if it's actually them that did it? Like, I could do without that, to be honest. It all feels a bit like, I know what... And the episode where it was like Alice and the therapist and George and Emma, like, flipping between them, I see what... It's all part of the building, isn't it? But yeah, I think the regression therapy just feels a bit woo-woo, to quote Brian, for me.
What did you think about Pat and Natasha being all chummy tonight?
I've written down, there's more love between them than I've ever seen before. I never saw them as friends at all, let alone, I love having you around, thank you so much. Like, that felt bizarre.
I'm thinking it was to demonstrate that they'll be impacted so much by George and will make a success of helping. I don't know. But other things have happened. We've had Alistair with him sitting outside the headmaster's room.
That was so unprofessional, wasn't it? To be in on his phone to his dad while he's literally sat in there. I know it all came good in the end. But yeah, I was just like, get off your phone.
It was nice to hear Jim, though.
Yeah, but I feel like he was having the exact same conversation with Jim that he probably would have had with him the night before.
Yeah, yes.
One of my massive flops in recent times, but really exacerbated this week, has been Justin. He's just awful, isn't he? I just think the underhand way he's dealing with Alice, because I understand, like, the thing is that I understand part of his rationale behind that. He doesn't want Alice to be the face of the stables because there's an ongoing court case. But leaving it all for Lillian and Carlotta to pick up when these are all his ideas, that just doesn't sit well with me. Then when Lillian was talking to Paul about this lovely little horsey thing they want to do with, like, for the kids and stuff, and her saying, oh no, there needs to be medals. Justin doesn't think there's any point in anything if you don't win. And I just thought that just sums him up for me.
Yes, absolutely. And I love Jazz's term. Instead of calling it cantering on, he called it galloping forth. And I thought that was a much better one. I think galloping forth sounds much more strident and more about it. But yes, Alice has been making she's got glittery horsey wristbands, and her motto is "Your horse is our horse."
Your horse is our horse, and our horse is yours.
And your strangles is our strangles. You know, it's slightly dangerous. I didn't like Will giving George £20 for a burger. I felt like I'm buying him off. I thought
there's so much of that going on, isn't there?
Yeah. So who do you think was the person that dobbed Alistair in?
Without a doubt, Paul. I know you love Paul, but I just can't believe that Paul's change in acceptance for his mum and Alistair's relationship isn't from anything other than guilt.
So you don't believe this thing that he had a letter from a dog owner?
No, I think it was Paul. I feel like it was Paul, and because Paul was like, he leapt straight in and was like, "Oh, it wasn't me that grassed you up, by the way." And then he's just been he said he's going to try harder with Alistair, sure, but I mean, he's being busy mates with him now, and I feel like it's based on guilt.
Oh, I just thought it was Linda, because she's been so cross at everybody lately.
I hadn't even thought
with
about
all
Linda.
Things fate related. She's got a dog. I thought she'd be the one that would complain, but oh my goodness.
There we go.
The web of lies continues, not just with Will and Emma. Well, there we go. That's something. So what else have we had this week? Any other faves and flops?
No other faves and flops, no. I said George's attitude has got much worse since he told Emma, and he sort of, now he's acting like it's her problem now. He's told her and she can deal with it, and he'll just sleep in his bedroom all day. That was another flop of how bad his attitude's been. But no, I've no other. But there was loads of food.
Yes, and we have to thank the marvellous script writer this week, Sarah. Sarah, you are a star. Now, Sarah loves her crisps, as she said when we interviewed her on this podcast, and she mentioned there was fancy crisps mentioned.
That's what kicked it all off.
Yeah, as soon as I heard fancy crisps, I was like, is this a Sarah week? I need to check. Shall I go through the other food, or would you like?
No, you do it, and I've got my pen out for ticking.
Okay, so fancy crisps, burger, homemade quiche, steak and chips takeaway, rainbow chard, courgettes, French beans, basil, sherbet, breakfast meat.
Oh, I've got a few more bits.
Oh, what have I missed?
Sunday roast, including a roast beef. Alistair said that's what Jim was doing him. Salad and veg. Fries. Because he said he wasn't. George says he wasn't living off of burger and fries. There was a repeat mention of burger and fries.
Oh, you're so good.
Yellow and green courgettes were more specifics, and carrots, and then they re-referred to death row meal.
You are on this. I think I need to hand this over to you, Lauren. Bravo, and I can only apologise about that. I just thought with Alistair and Denise, because Alistair was saying, "Oh, we can relax now. Everything's fine." I was like, oh my goodness, she's going to dump him.
I know, I've never felt fully that she's as into him as he is her. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that, especially if like your night in, like is you, your boyfriend and his very elderly father.
Yeah.
Like, because Jim laid it all out for him. He said, "Oh yeah, you can have the night in," and he was like, "Oh," and then that got me thinking that why is Alistair still living at home? Like, he's a partner at that vet's. Surely he must be doing all right.
Yes, I mean, he moved back when he got divorced and he was all sort of sad and lonesome.
Yeah, and it was only going to be a temporary thing.
Yeah, but I think he just likes being with his dad, and why not? But it sounds like Jim would actually rather he be gone. So there is that. My husband was watching Outlaws the other day, and I was reading a book, and I looked up and said, "That's Denise." And Denise is on Outlaws. I didn't even realise.
I did not, but she's also the voice of a cruise advert on Classic FM. Oh. And we listen to Classic FM all the time here, and sometimes when I'm drifting off, I then hear Denise telling me to go and book a cruise, and I think, all right, Denise, I will.
Fantastic. What do you think about Don James being pretty hardcore, Alistair said?
Well, we'd always heard that there was one good one bad. I didn't realise there were a couple, by the way. Did you know that tonight?
No, but lovely. Yeah. Very happy with that.
Well, he showed a much softer side, I guess, didn't he, after him saying that? And then I thought, I do like a bit of homemade quiche as well, so I can completely see why they might go and do that. I mean, it wasn't a surprise that he was hardcore because I'd heard that before, but then he seemed really nice.
Yes, I thought he was lovely. I'm a bit worried because
Emma's pleased with their performance at the vets, aren't they?
Yes, well done, Alistair, being a model practice apart from the canoodling in the cupboard.
And they said Denise was the best veterinary nurse they'd ever had, and I thought, poor Paul.
Yeah, that's true. Love Paul, love Paul.
I know
I'm just a bit worried about Emma because she's got her GCSE results coming up on Thursday.
Oh, of course. She hasn't even had a chance to think about that, has she?
Well, I'm worried she'll do really well, but something awful will happen that day with George, and she won't even want to know about it.
They never seem to get any luck. Just when they started their business and things seem to be, turns out your husband is perverting the court of justice. Your son's been perverting the court of justice.
And you are.
And now you are with your ex-husband.
And your baby father.
Yeah, who's also George's, who's also your husband's brother.
What fun. All in a day's work. All in a day's work. I'm not sure if I'd want to do Guess the Weight of the Piglet.
No.
And would you report George missing? I wouldn't.
He's been gone 3 hours. He's 19. He'll be fine.
And with lots of money.
Yeah.
Anyway. Right. Star of the week, Lauren. Tell me who is your star of the week.
I'd written Will because I felt it was very slim pickings, and then I've absolutely gouged it out after tonight. So I don't even have a star of the week. I'll give it to Sarah for all of the lovely food references because I've got nobody.
Well, the person that I'm awarding it to just made me think of you and me because it's Don James, because he said he loves having a homemade quiche and chatting about books.
I know. I did also pick up on that. That's lovely. Yeah, he can have it for definite. Don with his quiche and his books.
Wonderful. Okay, predictions. Do you have any?
Well, I was predicting that Paul had reported Alistair for sure. Also, just an aside, if we've wasted 2 episodes, maybe more, on this, and it turns out it's all right, then not just a waste of Alistair's time, it's been a waste of our time as well, listening to that, because it's literally amounted to nothing. I think Paul reported Alistair, and then I was just sort of pontificating on who George had called and thought maybe it would be Clive. So, yeah, those are my sort of predictions that we've already really chatted about. What about you? Have you got any new stuff?
New ones and completely likely to happen, of course. First one is that I predict that the regression therapy has reminded Alice how much she enjoyed drinking and how much it solved all her problems, because she was reliving how wonderful it was and comforting.
It's a beautiful night.
Yes. So that's going to push her back to drinking. Yeah. And my other one is that David and High Heels the cow will go off on holiday together.
What? Did I miss something on why that cow is called High Heels? Because it was just like, we were just supposed to accept it, that it was called High Heels.
That was the least of my worries. David and his love for this cow.
You love that cow.
Yes.
And then he had a crisp packet in her mouth all the time.
Dear, oh dear. We've got to be careful, guys. Anyway, that's it for this week. Now, for 2 weekends, there'll always be the Tuesday episode, but for 2 weekends, there won't be anything. But there will be something on the 7th of September. We've got a cast interview coming up then. There will be the opportunity to put questions on Facebook, I think, on the 28th of August. So join the Facebook group to see that. Next week will be all 4 of us. Oh, and we've got a Patreon event, a live online Patreon event, 18th of October, 7:30 p.m. Do book it in your diary. The links will be in the show notes. You'd be very welcome to join us. So it's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Bye-bye, everyone.